Hi guys, so today we are ranking a home remodeling business. I'm going to show you exactly the process that we follow to rank businesses just like this on both organic, traditional SEO, and more AI-driven results, such as search engines like Perplexity, or even in recommendations from ChatGPT for the about 9% of the market that is actually making queries like this on ChatGPT and not a traditional search, where here 91% of all the searches, you gotta remember always that about 60% of them will directly interact with this, or they will be within maps when they make the search, but the rest is gonna go here, and the vast majority of that, all the 35% ish, will go to this result here, unless that's not satisfactory, and they will do a little bit of this, okay, and then you see a whole bunch of other businesses. So the process that we follow always at Get Me Links to get results like this, for clients that look just like this here. This is not a client, this is just a niche, but clients in these kind of niches is exactly as follows. So the absolute very first thing that we have to do is identify some of the top competitors, which we just did right there directly on the search engine result page, as well as some of the smaller competitors. In this particular case, I've chosen to go with only one big competitor and a handful of smaller ones. Why? One, I make videos like this every single day. So if you want to see me rank for hundreds and hundreds of niches, just stay tuned and I will do one a day. And in every single case, in every single niche, in one of these case studies, I will do something slightly different to show you a bit more of the picture, okay? Can't capture everything in one of these videos. They wouldn't be 20 minutes, they will be 5 hours long. Next, what we need to do is accurately quantify and qualify backlinks pointing to these competitors. Backlinks are 80% of the SEO game. Yes, you do need the other 20% to be done right. You need the website to be built right, you need the content to be good, you need the site to be fast, to work well, to have good user experience so that the users don't bounce directly back to search and then tank your SEO once you're in page one. But once you get there, it's exclusively a branding and link building point of view, but link building plays into branding, therefore making it the single most important thing. I'm using the right finger, be careful here when you do these things to the camera. So link building stays the single most important thing for now. It does also massively influence the AI power result for most niches. Tomorrow I will do a different niche and you will see how that is extremely different for that particular niche. So if you like this video, do subscribe. Enough blabbing, let's talk about links. This website here, Allied Kitchen and Bath, is a DFA site that has a few different, that has backlinks powering up their rankings, as well as a lot of brand equity. I'm going to cover that a little bit later. But as you can very clearly see, they have a lot of really high DR links pushing their rankings up, and they also have a bunch of lower DR links helping them. Now, what does this chart say, link points and not just referring domains or just backlinks? Amazing question. I'm glad that you asked it in your mind, and I'm just here trying to read at the other side of the screen. The reason we say points is because we use a scoring system that factors in what we do know from the Google data leak last summer, from the Yandex algorithm leak, and for every single person that's out there studying Google patterns, including myself. I haven't studied every single Google pattern out there, but I studied the ones that matter. And we do know that things like topical relevance, the position of the backlink within the page, the anchor text, the velocity at which those links come into play, they all factor into how powerful a backlink profile is. And remember, backlink profile is 80% of the results. So what we do here, a slight oversimplification, is we're gonna score the backlinks pointing to these competitors and the ones that we then build for our clients, to use a multiplier based on the topical relevance. So you've probably seen me write these 3 letters here and mispronounce this one here because in Spanish this is A, so when it's in English I get confused. But basically, TAR is the fundamental acronym to remember here. Traffic, aka trust, authority, and then relevance. This is what matters for link building. That's it, nothing else. So, trust. If a site is trusted, they themselves will have good SEO traffic. Example, our number one competitor in this hyper-specific niche, Allied Kitchen and Bath, has organic traffic of their own accord. That because it's a pretty narrow niche in a relatively low volume when we compare it to all the stuff like buy Bitcoin, right? Which we also ranked number 2 in Australia not too long ago. right, for one of our clients, we see that they do have some organic traffic and they do rank for some of the organic keywords that they themselves are targeting, which means Google does trust them. They've also been in business for a long time, right? They've been in SEO for a long time, right? You can see here as much history as possible on the domain, right? So as you can see here, they also have a pretty lengthy SEO history. They've been doing SEO for at least the last 10 years. So what does this tell us? It tells us that they're a trusted business. They have checked that box with Google. Google trusts them. How do you get trust? You do it in virtue of EEAT, experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. The trustworthiness is displayed in a few different ways. One of those ways is to get a lot of quality backlinks from all the sites that Google trusts already, pointing at you with your brand name on the anchor text profile. Fantastic. You can click this moment, right? So, Alejandro, how do I rank and how do we make sense out of all of this? Be patient. This is all going to make sense. So, back to the subject of trust. This is the first condition to be met. If a site is not trusted, I don't care how much DR or domain authority or SEMrush domain score they get. If the domain traffic is 0, that backlink is worth also $0, which means I don't care. Right? Now, if the site ranks for their own target keywords, not my target keywords, if they rank for my target keywords, that would be amazing, but the chances that they would link to me are also very close to that other big fun 0 that I was drawing with my hand. So therefore, you need to get sites that they rank for what they rank for. Those keywords have to be somewhat related to your broad industry when you conceive it from a very high level. And then you're good. And then you want those sites to have as high authority as possible, and that authority to be legitimate. DR and domain authority and all the different scores, they can be manipulated, but they leave clues. When you look at the chart, they do weird things, okay? So, provided that the authority is legitimate, then we need to split that authority because it's not the same to get a links from Forbes or entrepreneur.com, right? It's not the same to get those kind of backlinks than it is to get from a hobbyist DR6 blog. They're not the same. Now, the hobbyist DR6 blog, if it's hyper relevant to your niche, will score a lot higher in the points, but will still live here. A DR6 will still be this, and that will get you 4 points. Amazing. But one single backlink from Forbes will get you, even if it's 0.5 links, points, it will be on this higher domain rating. And the math, if you watch any of my previous videos or any of the future ones, always shows that most of the high ranking websites out there in the interwebs have loads of link points in these DR60 and above, and fewer of those here for most niches. That doesn't mean that these ones don't matter, okay? That is not what I am saying. What I am saying is that you have to contextualize all of these backlinks and then build something that looks exactly like the winning profile, which is what we're gonna do here in this video. I'm gonna show you exactly how to bridge the gap against a competitor like this at the lowest dollar cost possible, so you can have a very happy P&L. Okay? So basically, on last subject on this relevance here, what we do is we score both the website that links to the target could be the competitor or you, doesn't matter, at both the website level and the page level. If the website is relevant, amazing, 1 point. If the page is relevant, amazing, another point. Any combination all throughout, I'm sure you can figure it out, right? From 0.5, not relevant at all the way to 2 points. Most backlinks out there in the wild will only score about 1 point. One of these two will be that relevant, maybe the page is relevant, the domain, kind of, or vice versa. When we look at the niche defining term, in this particular case, I want to rank a home remodeling business, and the location is Fort Lauderdale. Okay, who is ranking there? At the moment, we have Allied Kitchen and Bath, and we also have Gary and Fort Lauderdale Renovations. Yeah, but why did I ignore those two competitors? Number one, Gary Remodeling is at DR 2.6, and Fort Lauderdale Renovations is at DR 0. They just so happen to be a kind of like partial match. They just happen to be an exact match domain. Okay, they have the location and they have renovation, remodeling, same. Then Gary Remodeling has remodeling there. This is why I always recommend domains to be keyword rich, but then include your own brand. In this particular case would be my last name. Okay, fantastic. So Allied Kitchen and Bath has neither of those things. It does have kitchen and bath, which will help them massively for all these stems that are like this, 100%, as you can see. They are the consistent winner with the homepage, where many of these other competitors are either hyper specific, like Half Price Kitchen, which is why I analyze them in the general competitor overview. They also are a higher DR competitor, which is a little bit more interesting to analyze from a backlinks standpoint. And then we have Kitchen Tune-Up, but Kitchen Tune-Up is a very big in terms of their geographic expansion type of competitor, and they are DR55. I'm not in the game of trying to fight these guys head front. I do want to do as much as I can to get closer to competitors like this who have really shown me the way. So when we go to the niche defining term, which is typically the keyword that defines what we do in order to rank at the top for the main term. Okay, ignore all of these because it doesn't matter because you've already chosen your niche. Okay, it's not like we're doing research here to see what niche is best to build some lead gen website. Okay, this is not my business. My business is rank clients who already have a business. Okay, I'm not trying to figure out what businesses are good to explore. So with this, we do know that here on the DR 30, 40, 50, and 60 plus, for the backlinks that are actually worth something, which is the minority of the backlinks out there. Most backlinks out there are worth gold, right? You can see that this is the points that they have. So I want to replicate exactly that plus one, okay, to make sure that I have a side advantage. And be very careful. On the daily, we get link orders through our website, getmelinks.com, where people, buy a package. They're very excited. They want to deploy those backlinks because they see content like this. They know backlinks work, of course, because of course they work. And they're like, okay, Alex, home remodeling Fort Lauderdale on the anchor text 10 times, please. And I always have to tell them, brother, please don't do that because that won't work. As you can see here, the analysis of the links that are powering the #1 rankings tells us that there is 0% exact match keyword anchor text and very, very few partial match. The vast majority of the backlinks are actually pointing to these URLs with the brand name. Gary Remodeling, Fort Lauderdale Renovations, or Allied Kitchen and Bath. So when we build links for Meyerhans Remodeling Florida.com, we will do Meyerhans Remodeling on the anchor text 12 times, and then on the 13th time, I will do one partial match. I will do literally home remodeling, Meyerhans Home Remodeling Fort Lauderdale if I really feel very aggressive, but then I need to know that I'm gambling a little bit because I have no proof that exact match is safe to build on this niche. With that, the rest of the backlinks will all be partial and brand. Be very, very, very careful with your anchor text selection. Now, what happens with my kitchens page? Again, I need to fight against Allied Kitchen and Bath. Do I build the exact same amount of backlinks to my inner page? No, outrageous. That's going to cost me a fortune. I don't need to spend a fortune if I don't have to, right? The issue is a lot of people won't know that. And then the sales agent to the link building agency that you might speak with will be like, yeah, just do that again. In reality, you only need 4, which is going to cost you a lot less and it's going to get you better results. Why do we need 4? Because Half Price Kitchen, which is the next competitor, is on number 2 with only 4 via 60 points there. And so is Kitchen Tuna. I don't care about these 4 links, okay? A 5th link here will massively outdo this in terms of relevance. In terms of power, and then which might gonna make sure that it's relevant. And so 4 links should be plenty. That's still gonna be like close to $1,500, right? Depending on where we get them. What do we do with our anchor text here that's an inner page and no longer the home page so much? We're gonna do, okay, this exact ratio, 4 of these for every one of these. In this particular case, we have to go heavier with our keyword rich anchor text. If we don't do an analysis like this, we never know. If you wanna get an analysis like that, which is in my experience doing this for the last decade of my life professionally, which allowed me to stop being a miserable waiter and have a much more successful career, both in terms of personal fulfillment, opportunities, expansion, making money for others and money for myself, which is SEO. You need the data. Please look at the data. If you don't know how to do it, this video here will teach you exactly how to get this data in 20 minutes, step by step with templates. If you're a little bit richer in dollars than you are in time, for $49, we will do this for you, including a call with our team explaining all these numbers for you for your particular case, so you can win an SEO. Amazing. So what do we do now for bathrooms? Oh, interesting. We see slightly different competitors. As you can see, very niche specific, plus these guys. Same, okay? Number 2 guys have 7 links. I don't care about number 3 guys. If with these 7 links here, we can outrank these guys, right? And put ourselves here. We'll start getting more leads for bathroom remodeling jobs, which typically pay very, very well. And if you do a good job, you keep those clients in your roster for the next time you do a remodeling. Good lifetime value. What do we need to do? The opposite. Again, heavy on the brand. Why? Because Allied is number one. So you can tell likely these partial ones come from here. If we do these 7 backlinks, what we're going to do is just keep doing Meyerhans remodeling bathrooms, Meyerhans remodeling bathroom projects, whatever you do. You can keep it a little bit hybrid and do both. Now, for sub-locations, which are a core component for local businesses like this, in order to get a lot of leads from the surrounding areas of the main area that they serve and just funnel them all through to get more jobs, even if you have to do a bit of a drive, okay? For businesses like this, it's going to represent actually a ton of business. The smaller the location, typically the more underserved they are. So if you create a really good landing page for them and you rank them at the top, even if you're not at the top on maps, you will get leads. And if you do a good job, the smaller the community, I'm not saying Boca Raton is small, it's that small, but just for the point of this case, right? The smaller the location, if it's underserved and you are in the next big town, but you have a page that serves these people and you drive them and you do a really good job, what you're gonna get is a lot of word of mouth leads because you did such a good job, which is why these pages are actually a freaking gold mine in disguise, which a lot of SEOs will ignore because, oh my God, search volume 10, who cares? Think on the macro, think on the macro. Now, with this, Wyman Builders and Allied are ranking, right? Weak domain, we already know what to do here to catch up with Allied. Amazing, inner page, nothing, inner page, nothing. What we do have is an exact match remodeling company for kitchens, not for bathrooms. But it doesn't really matter because we talk everything renovations in Boca Raton, which is not the main area. So we have to outrank this homepage with this inner page, which means we need to do exactly the same amount of links that they did, plus maybe 1 or 2 more. Surprise, super heavy with partial match, no brand. Go figure. This is why you need this analysis every single time. Every single keyword is a bit different. Now for kitchen countertops, right? Slightly different variation. Make sure that child ideas support the parent ideas. So all the links that you build here also support this page here. Completely different competitors, a lot more hyper-specific, niche-specific stuff. I don't like results like this, where it's homepage, and then a new competitor that I haven't seen before, which looks well powerful for, obviously they're on the countertop niche, and more in the renovations niche. Not the same. I don't want to put a lot of money on a page like this, so I'm only going to put 1 backlink and then see what happens. See if it takes me from nowhere to the top 100 to, let's say, position number 5. And then with good attribution software. Now, bathroom remodel in a different location, which applies for all these kind of like sub-locations, okay? Hyper-local competitor, a different type of competitor, and then again, the same guys that we are using as our reference point. So let's follow what they've done. They have done nothing. So let's do a little bit more than that. We can do brand and context, fantastic. Now, when we put all of this together, right, the total amount of backlinks that means is a total of 63 backlinks to rank not only for our big home remodeling keyword, but for all of the other surrounding ones, a handful of locations. And of course, if you build these very many backlinks to a domain, you're gonna massively strengthen it. So every other page that you launch in that domain, other sub-services like hyper-specific stuff like, toilet repair, kitchen sink replacement services, whatever it is, something that's a bit more narrow, as well as hundreds and hundreds of sub-locations that you can go for, all those pages will start ranking of their own accord because they live in a high domain rating, high trust, high traffic domain, because you are capturing the traffic from all these other sources. For a case like this, 39 of the domains will point to the homepage, and then the other 24 for inner pages. This is the distribution. This is exactly the amount of links that you need. Now, 63 backlinks at an average of about 300 bucks per link, give or take, between whether you do it through digital PR, whether you use Haro or guest post in total. Even if you're doing it yourself, and this is not your area of expertise, so let's say you're doing this for your own clients because you run an SEO agency, you will have to build a team, you need to build the processes. There's always what I call the ignorance fee, which is paying the cost of finding out how to do things properly. So that will always mess up with your cost, even though you can, of course, get things for cheaper than $100 a pop. But for these kind of DR ranges, if you want to get actual sites that are decent, that are quality, with long-standing history, no guest post farms, no PBNs, no poo-poo. You want to get really good backlinks. That is going to cost about $300 per link, which is about just around 20K, okay, for the niche. So 20K can be one single job for this contractor. Yes, margins will be like that, fine. Two jobs, well done, covers your entire SEO campaign, and every subsequent job you get from there on is going to pay for it. It's free, right? It's just pure profit when it comes to customer acquisition costs, because you did the job up front. And yes, you will have to publish some pages. How many pages? Fantastic, let's find out. So the main reason I wanted to show you that is because you cannot trust SEO tools in isolation. Ahrefs will tell you that you need around 29 domains to rank on the top 10, but we don't want to rank on the top 10 because the top 10 produces very little CTR percentage. We want to be number one, and for number one, we need more. Okay, so for number one, we're going to need more. And even if you look at something like this, where you say, okay, well, just let me look at the top competitor, says, cool, I'm going to need 200 referring domains. Also, no, you don't need 200 referring domains. They might have 200 referring domains, but all of these domains are worth zero. And they had more before, all the time, 1.9K. Why? Because they've been on for a long time. This also tells you that they've lost 80%. Excuse me. This also tells you that if throughout all the time, all the history, they have 2K basically referring domains and they only have 200 alive, they've lost about 90% of all the backlinks that they accrued over time have been lost. And that is very, very normal. When you engage in a project, imagine that a business like this becomes your client because they were number one for the longest time. Google update comes along and they drop all the way to number 5. They see the lead pipeline from organic dropping and they're panicking, and then they call you. Super common. We have other people come to us like, hey, Alex, help me recover. No problem. We know one thing that we can do is definitely some link reclamation. We can build some new backlinks that look more like the backlinks that they lost if we can't get those backlinks back. What's most important is to take into account when you work with someone that isn't like this, that's starting from zero, right? Like, you don't need 200 referring domains and you don't need 29. You need a number that's in between, that you can only access it if you have the right data. Ranking here and here, okay, is going to massively influence the results that search engines like this, which isn't a search engine, when people use it as such, and these give you, even though the results that these two queries are producing are actually very, very different, right? Allied only shows up here in position number 4 after Schaffner and Paskowski, as well as Full Service, who are featured in different places. They're featured in Zillow, as well as Modern Home Builders. This is just their website with my site number 4, so that's how fantastic their home page is. These guys are being featured in House, right? And these people are being featured just by themselves. So as you can see, a lot of these AI-powered results pull from a variety of different sources, but you can typically see the pattern, which is in this niche, they rely heavily on House. So if you're in this niche, you want to get your brand mentioned in House, as well as other relatively comparable sites, because they massively feed the AI results, okay? Now, for results like this, as you can see, Remodeling Fort Lauderdale and Custom Homes Fort Lauderdale, as well as Fort Lauderdale Renovations and A to Z Home and Business, are quoted as some of the sources here. But when you go to all the sources in Perplexity, you see they're very wide, very varied. So Custom Homes Florida is being picked as a source when they haven't even finished setting up their SEO plugin. There is a tremendous amount of randomness in the ways that these AIs pull their sources. This is why, if you're in a local services niche where the vast majority of your business will come from organic search, you have to purposefully ignore the whole GEO AI noise and just do good SEO, because good SEO will feed the AI. You will do already some progress there, and then after you are getting the leads here, then you can think about that, okay? A few other things to take into account, make sure that we don't forget about them. When we look for this keyword, we could see that Allied kitchen and bath, right, ranks really high. When we were looking for this, we could see Allied, and I want to look at the amount of branded queries that they have. Right, you always have to do this. I will include this step on every single video. Why? Because it matters so much. It's just like the backlinks. It's just a lot easier to check, okay? So, tons of branded searches for Allied, okay? Tons and tons, different ways of asking for it. Cabinets, home remodeling, granite, home contractors, interior solutions. The sum of all this volume is how much volume you need to start producing for your own brand. There's a handful of different ways that you can do that. I will do a whole video on how to increase branded searches. Just do know you will have to create branded searches. Two very good ways to start with that. One, get highly active on the right social medias for your niche. Two, do some job ads if you do have some job openings and push those very hard so people start looking for those if you are unknown. If you are known, get as many testimonials as you can out there and then run those testimonials as ads. Because if I see a guy that looks like me that says, hey, company XYZ just did my kitchen in the location where I live, and I see some videos of it and say, I love them, the quote was reasonable, blah, 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 blah. I'll be like, what did he say is their name? Meyerhans Home Remodeling. And I go to Google and say, Meyerhans Home Remodeling Reviews. And I'm gonna go there and see that brand. So a handful of different ways to increase brand searches. The last check always, how many pages does these people have? How much content have they published? How big is the website? The 20% that I said at the beginning, actually pretty big, 441 pages. And it's a variety of locations, outdoor kitchens, more and more locations, countertops, right? Some more specific products like, okay, this vanity is V23 HTM, that looks like a pretty old URL, right? So like a looks, right? A lot of the showroom URLs, right? For the subdomain, which is more like a catalog. So to wrap it up, knowing how many branded searches you need, how much content you're gonna need, and most importantly, how many backlinks you're going to need. The next steps are gonna be to prepare a topical map to publish that content for those locations, those services, and so forth that you or your client will need, and then to speak with us so we can help you with your link building, to do things right, spend as little as possible to get the best links you can possibly get to rank in this niche. That's all. I'm hoping that you learned something useful in this video, and as always, if you want us to do an analysis like this, so we can show you exactly how many backlinks you're gonna need to rank number one, you can go in the description box in this video and grab yourself a copy of the link report, and I will see you on the other side. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for a different dish.